And welcome everyone to the Andor SPOILERCAST. This will be covering the first three because that's what they decided to drop. And I think personally, I believe there's a reason why. Well, obviously there's a reason why, but my head canon's got a reason why. But as always, I am Mitch. You can follow me on Twitter at 692 tweets and Instagram at 692 pics. And of course, I'm joined by Sean.
You can just find me on Instagram on Marvin_12.
All right. Well, I'm really just trying to I'll be totally honest. These three episodes melded into one, and all I can really remember is the last half of the third one.
Yeah, it's a setup.
Yeah.
You can just leave. You can kind of just sum it up in 2 words: setup. And,
yeah. But I think I said on Twitter it did bore the hell out of me. Now I'll be honest, I was bored through the entire thing. But I can see. I can see the show winning me around, right? It's like this is set up. I don't think these three needed to be three. You could have made these two. You could have cut out a good whole episode of this. Like I just found it. It doesn't help me. No, it's no secret. I don't like Andor. I think he's one of the most boring characters you could have. Yes, he's a blank slate to do this sort of thing, but it's like out of everyone you picked Andor. But I don't want to be the guy that's like this show should have been about someone else and it might have been better. And it's like I don't want to do that, but I kind of think it would have been better if it was anyone else. It's like this show, if this was about someone we didn't know and they pulled a Mandalorian on us, I'd be 100% the other direction.
So you're basically, it's the character bias,
100%, yeah. I
love the character. I love the character.
It's one of those, like, I can see why people like someone like Andor, but it's like a Batman thing for me, right? There's nothing in that character that's grabbed me yet.
Well, I think out of all the characters in Rogue One that was established, I think he was the most interesting character. Everybody else was.
See, I think it's the pair. I can never remember their names because I can't remember half of that movie. But the guy with the stick and the other one.
Yeah, the Guardians of the Will. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, like those two. I would have been all over that.
I mean, there's always the possibility of that ever happening. But like, I thought Andor was a good character because he was amoral. He's willing to go across the line. Like you barely see that in the Star Wars universe. Like everybody seems to go by a code that's like unseen, untold code of the Jedi. It's like, but this guy is willing to put his, he's willing to put his money where his mouth is when it comes to what he believes in. He believes in the rebellion, and he's willing to kill. And I honestly, and I can honestly say I've seen almost every Star Wars up to this point, and I don't think there's a character like that in the rebellion, anyways. And I think he fills in my opinion, he fills a void in that sect of group, and I thought it was refreshing. I thought it's nice to see that even the good guys are kind of
gray.
Bad. Yeah, it's kind of a gray area, and like, it's good to see that. I think that's what really entertained me about, and like, as for the first 3 episodes, it's like everything is just set up, like after this, it just gets a little bit more action, but it's like, it was never, I don't think it was billed as an action show. It's just a thriller, I think, if you get down to it. It's like a spy
show. I can see that, yeah. Though I did, I said on Twitter, I don't really like using this word as in some cases, but like, if you wanted a bit of a pretentious Star Wars, this is it. But I don't say that in a negative way. I know it's not exactly a positive word, but it did come. At least these first 3, it did come across just slightly pretentious. I'm like, I think that's more that's more me going, oh, it's Andor. Like, you're trying to make Andor more important than he is, more grand than he is, and it's like, but that's just.
I don't know. I don't think they're trying to make him important. I think they're just trying to like show the other side of the coin. Like that's what I see in the show, and I see the character is like he's that guy that is like, I believe in this cause so much that I'm willing to kill for it.
Yeah.
And like he's and it's look, pretentious is not a bad word. It's just how you use it. That's bad. Yeah. Like you can use pretentious in a good way. And I see that, and I think Star Wars kind of needs that. It needs a little bit of
100%. Like I will. There's a lot I have to say that's good about this show, right? Like the acting's good. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
The look and feel of it is not like. If you told me it wasn't a Star Wars show, I'd believe you. It's so. I know there's that whole thing going around of fan service was essentially banned from this show. Like it was mandated to not have any. But it's like.
But that's a good thing, though.
It is a good thing, yeah. And it's like it's
100%.
It gave it. It feels totally and wholly unique to anything else they've done before. And it's.
You said you wanted
I'm not gonna
like a Mando
for that.
I mean, this is sort of like what Mando was in the first place. The only thing that Mando has going that is different is like he's a wholly different character, But if you get down to it, Mando's not a new character. It's just a new person. It's a character that we.
It's an old concept, but a different character. Yeah. I suppose kind of. Actually, no. Do I say Andor's just a bit of an edgier Han Solo? Is that really where I'm going to go with this? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think he's Han Solo has like he says that he has morals. I mean, he doesn't have morals, but he does. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Hey, that's why the edgier bit came in, like the slightly edgier version.
I think Andor scratches that itch when it comes to like he's almost more badass than Han Solo. I'm sure I'm gonna get shit in the comments, but think about it though. Like the cool thing about Han Solo that everybody said is like he's such a BA, and it's like deep down inside the guy has morals, and he but I think Andor is the type of guy that wouldn't have turned back, to help them fight in the trenches. And
I say Han's the diamond in the rough. Andor is the rough.
Yeah, Han talks that talk where he's rough and tumble and grumpy, but it's like I think that's a little bit of Harrison Ford coming through on that. Real life. But I think Andor has the quality of being a true scoundrel. In a way that he, it's almost the fact that like you start questioning who's worse, the guy that's hunting him or him, because he thinks he's doing things right, and like by the end of Rogue One he realizes that he's killing for a rebellion that at the end of the day he's just considered a cog in a machine. I don't know, I think Andor kind of stands out and by the end of the series, I hope people, see that the show was worth, being put out, and I think the character might show that the character has more dimensions than what was shown in Rogue One.
Yeah. I mean, with the amount of episodes it's getting, I bloody hope so. If they don't give him anything else, I know they said how many seasons it's going to be, but I can't remember. I know it's at least 2.
Yeah.
And I love Diego. 4 or 5 season plan or whatever. It's just like, oh, that's a lot.
And I love Diego Luna. Because you got like a 5-year gap between Rogue One and now, and...
Yeah, because they're going to be jumping around the place, didn't they? They said something or something like that. I can't remember. But no, it's...
But...
The cast in it is great in this thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it I was genuinely surprised about. I was like, you know what, this looks fantastic. It sounds fantastic. The acting is great. The dialogue's great. I can't remember who the actress is, but when she's like, that's the reckoning, it's just like, oh, what a line. Like the way she did that in attention. That's the one, sure. Yeah. Like the tension in that, in fact, the tension in that entire scene. Yeah. Where it's like the space bell ringer stops and it's just like, oh my god, what's about to happen?
it feels like a boiler, like a boil, like the water being boiled, and it's slowly bubbling and bubbling and bubbling and bubbling and bubbling, and then you get to the end, and it's just
whistle.
Yeah, it's the whistle, and like, I mean, look at the pedigree of the show. I think of the creators, you got Tony Gilroy. I mean, like, whether you like it or not, Tony Gilroy is probably one of the best, like, all-around person in Hollywood. I mean, like, the guy's been around for a long time, and he's been, I think, he's a good action guy. He's like proved it on many occasions, and like, it's interesting to see what he's done with the Star Wars, franchise. Like, so far.
Yeah.
But Diego Luna, great. I mean, look, probably really.
I mean,
really
he did great with the
actor.
stuff. He did great with everything. Like, literally everyone in this show done great. Skarsgård was fantastic. Like if it wasn't for Skarsgård just being like, I know you, like you're blah 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 blah. It's just like, you know what? I think that was enough of a hook for me to stick with. I was going to stick with it regardless, but I saw that and I was like, this might make it easier on Sean going forward. I might not completely trash this show from start to finish. I might actually end up liking it by the end of it. And
I think just people really have. It's. I don't know. I think people didn't like the idea of Rogue One in the beginning, and I think they've carried that. That baggage over.
Guilty as charged, really. Rogue One was so unnecessary to then get something as equally unnecessary. Whatever I think of the show, like I'll think it's an unnecessary show, but it's like.
And I feel like I'm on the opposite end of that coin. I feel like I'm on the opposite end of that coin because I think up to that point, whether they took a sentence and made a movie out of it, they did a really good job of taking that one line out of the first film and making.
I will give them props. They managed to stretch a sentence out over 2 hours. I'll give them props for that.
I mean, that's the first step in making a good movie is like taking a concept and just like.
Fair point. Fair enough.
And like.
That's a pitch. Like,
Plus, I mean, look, I love the action. I love the action in Rogue One, and I love the fact there's barely any mention of the Skywalkers. I'm so over the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
And that's it's just interesting to see what Disney takes and cherry picks and makes into a film, whether it deserves it or not. It's just interesting to see what they do and whether they I think after this it's just like avoiding the Skywalkers altogether, and like I think Star Wars needs that fresh start, and I think I feel like this could be it, one of the few steps.
Oh yeah, like if this is a direct, I don't want everything to look and feel like this. Looking like it, maybe, because this does look insanely well.
It's gorgeous, yeah.
But having everything like this is like that'd be too much. You need.
And it's not though. I mean, Taika Waititi's next movie, the Star Wars film, is gonna be nothing like this film. It's
true.
And
well, if it is, I'll be stunned. I'll be like, wow, Taika did that. What the hell?
Again, I'll put a month's worth of salary saying that's not going to be. I'm that confident in that.
It's like who ghost directed this thing because it weren't Taika doing it. No.
But it's I think I think best case scenario, like they've taken concepts and run with it. I don't think any other company would have done this. They would have just ran with the Skywalkers till the day.
I know you would have got this. Would have been cut for tax reasons.
I mean, well, yeah, if it was a Discovery.
Eventually sold to Comcast after being brought out 3 years later.
But just think about if Lucas was still owns the company, where would this franchise be? It would be stuck in that one little fucking.
I'd love to see the timeline where we got everything we have, but Lucas was still in charge.
You wouldn't have any of this. I guarantee you. You would have
an infinite multiverse with infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
There's one reality out there. We got exactly this. or the exact projects. So like we've got Mandalorian, we've got Boba Fett, we've got Obi-Wan, we got this, we got Rogue One, but
you would have got Han Solo,
Lucas was in charge. Like, what does that look like? I want to see. Like, I don't want to live in it. I want to peek at it. I don't want to look at it from afar.
No, for sure.
Admire the
unknown,
the batshit crazy stuff we would have gotten if that was Lucas.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to sit and be like, oh, Lucas, they should never have sold to Disney and Kathleen. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to be one of those grifters because that's too much energy.
I'm not going to dog on Lucas. Lucas created this universe, and like he conceived everything that we're doing right now.
Oh yeah.
And you know, whether it being Andor or not, it's all part of his, you know, his quote unquote babies.
Yeah.
I think that the problem with Lucas is like he surrounded himself with a lot of yes men that didn't challenge him.
100%.
And that's how you get the prequels. And like I think that would have been still the case because Lucas is a very intimidating person, you know, when it comes to directing his films, you know,
which is ironic, right? Because you see Lucas and you're like, you're just like an old squeaky boy.
I mean, everybody that I've ever talked to that has had any interactions with him professionally has said that he's a very intimidating person because he does what he wants to do, which is fair.
Yeah,
because
he knows what he wants. He's gonna do it.
You know, whether I know people that were in the Lucas regime before the Disney buyout, and like they would say, yes, nobody challenged him, and that was the problem. And that was like one of the biggest problems with Lucas is like he surrounded himself with people that he wanted to hear the word yes and like, oh, you're brilliant. This is what you should do, instead of no, maybe this shouldn't work. Could work this way. You know that you need that. You need the challenge when it comes to stuff, or you're gonna get subpar, you know, products, you know.
100%.
And I'm not dogging on the prequels. The prequels have its place. You know, they weren't for me, but they are for somebody else. And you know, it just didn't work. You know, in so many ways.
Though I would admit, after rewatching the prequels for Obi-Wan, Phantom Menace ain't that bad.
Yeah, it's just kind of boring. It's really boring. It's super boring. It's just a lot of like technical babble that like it is interesting to listen to on paper, but like when you're
I'm saying if you want to know how tax works, it's a fantastic movie.
maybe some politicians should watch the prequels to get to know how taxes work, you know. But like
Prime Minister Truss, take note. If you're gonna cut taxes, you don't tax the 45 and up bracket, you dumb bitch. Anyway, that's a totally different subject.
That's the political podcast that we have on the side.
But hey, the pound's at a 37-year low. Like, let's go. It's never been this low.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, like, it's the same way with Japanese yen, man. Japanese yen is like, I mean,
if you're an American,
it's doing bad. I mean,
yikes.
Like it's bad, you know. Like if you're a buyer, this is a buyer's market for like whatever you want to get from Japan. But
I might just start looking at Japanese sites. No.
You should. But yeah, you know, the prequels the prequels are just boring. You know, I mean, and then when you get to the Attack of the Clones, it was incomprehensible. Like it was just so.
I'll say Clones and Sith to me are nigh unwatchable.
They contradict themselves in so many different ways in those films, you know, because it's so bogged down and like, you know, like he's always he's a good guy when it comes to like building a universe, but when you have to film a movie about that universe, it just kind of, you know. Yeah. Not to say that
he done all right for the first one. He done all right, and then.
I mean, I mean, you look, if you get down to it, he's God King, you know, Lucas, because he created this universe, you know. But like, even gods can make mistakes, you know.
Look at me.
Yeah, I can say this. I'm kind of odd, you know. But you know, Andor, I think, in my opinion, will serve a purpose.
I hope so, because you know, even these with how I feel about these episodes, I don't think it's the worst Star Wars ever done. Like, is it better than Boba Fett so far? I mean, As a whole with Boba Fett, probably yeah. I think it's better done. I think it's got a bit more of a hook. I think it looks a lot better than Fett. To be fair, it looks a lot better than everything. That's not a fair comparison for Star Wars right now.
Yeah. I think Boba Fett had a lot of missteps. The book of Boba Fett was a great concept. I think it just wasn't executed perfectly, or to the standards of like.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad show.
No, it's not bad. Like it
just was in the middle.
Yeah, it was the problem with that show. It was this is a bridge for Mando season 3. Yeah. We need Grogu back. How do we get Grogu? Well, we can make a Boba Fett show and get him back that way. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, let's do that then.
Yeah, but it was like in the middle of the road, and I think sometimes that's worse than being bad. You know, like because it's just like no one's talking about the Book of Boba Fett anymore. You know, like it's.
Well, you say that. I think I've seen. Outside of Jared and his luck, because I expect to see it from them, I've seen no one talk about Andor. And I'm like, is this really like, is no one watching this show? Like, obviously, what I see isn't the big picture. I don't see a ton of stuff. I don't really follow a lot of people online. And I think that's how I keep my sanity. But like, no one's talking about it. And I'm just like, really?
Because it's good. Yeah, I think it has a bit of a stigmata of, I don't know.
So I think a lot of it is down to the character.
Yeah, you know, I would, but if that's the case, I think people should. I mean, I always feel like you should give it 3 episodes, 4 episodes, and if it doesn't work, then stop watching it. But if you're remotely interested, you should check it out, you know, and watch it. You know, like
I say it's one of those. Despite that I was bored by it. There was enough in this for me to have an intrigue about it. And I'm like, there's got to be something more here. We got how many episodes is this? I can't remember.
A lot. I think it's like a first season.
So I want to say it's 12, isn't it? Isn't it 12?
12, yeah. 12, yeah.
Let me just Andor episodes.
And I think one of the bigger problems, and like it's gonna happen now. With Disney Plus is like there's going to be a lot of overlap, and people only have so much time in the day to watch.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it because I woke up and someone's like, "Oh, the first 3 are out." I'm like, "Excuse me, like how long are these things?" It's like they're only 40 minutes long, but that's a lot of Andor to watch in one go.
That's almost 3 hours, you know, and then you got the half hour with you know She-Hulk if that's what you're interested, you know. People wanted the longer episodes. People wanted the longer episodes. This is
true.
It's a longer episode.
I think this was a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation with this show because the first 3, they did it right in putting these 3 out. Because if you did this weekly, I would have been so down on this show. I would have been pissing myself off, let alone you.
Yeah,
but
for sure, I think. Yeah.
With the 3, I think it was too much at once. For everyone to do. It's just like this is a lot of time to, especially on a Wednesday. It's a lot of time to get out there. It's just like, it was unfortunate for this show, but it's what it is. I think there's enough in there for me to hopefully by the end of the show actually enjoy it. But I think
I think they realize that. They want to get the setup out of the way, so once it gets kind of knee deep in the action of the show, that it's not going to be as long, you know, in the tooth to watch. It won't be as bad, you know, because like it, you know, like sometimes when you're watching a film and you really get into it, it doesn't matter how long the film is, you know, if you're really
it's like Endgame, right? Like everyone saw Endgame, it was like that movie was not 3 hours. Everyone saw No Way Home, it's like that movie was not 3 hours. Like it doesn't feel it feels like 2. If anything, but something that's slow and
it's a slow burn.
Yeah, it can. It did feel long when I watched it, and I think that was my worst bit. And I know I didn't really give it a fair shot because I was like looking at my phone constantly, being like, "Oh, come on. Like it's only been 3 minutes."
Well, I always think the setup for any show is usually like the hardest part to get through because it's like it's asking a lot of the audience to kind of. Because you're gonna have to listen to what they're saying. You're gonna have to understand what the setup of the show. Because like the first,
you don't want to fall into that like typical tropey cliffhanger hook. Obviously, you want a hook at the end of your setup, but you don't want to make it really generic.
Hammy.
You want something else there. But I think the show did its job. I think it gave people, at least in the third episode, enough. Like the tension. Like, admittedly, I don't think the warehouse bit with all not the bells, but like that weird construction stuff with the chains was anything special. But the tension around that whole thing is like they're doing this really well. Right?
Yeah.
I was watching it going like, why is this?
Yeah.
Like, why is this always swinging like metal blocks of thing? Like, what's this about? But it is what it is. No, I'm gonna rewatch these three.
Well, the attention of them being grounded. It's. I think the 3 episodes. It's.
You're breaking up, by the way. You're jumping in and out.
The hardest part to get through. The first 2 episodes.
You're jumping in and out of connection, and we can better hear you.
Is it better now?
A little bit.
Well, like the first 2 episodes are the hardest part because it's kind of like the backstory, like it's jumping back and forth.
Nice. I mean, that was the thing as well. Like when it, full admittance, when I'm bored, when everyone's bored, your attention span wanders, right? And like there's jumping back and forth, but I'm like, I've missed something. So I should have probably waited till next week, but I'm not that sort of person. Give me all the comments about how I'm unprofessional because I adore those with my whole heart. But as I say, I will be watching the 3 again in time for the 4th, so we can talk about it a bit better. And I'm not as brain foggy with these first 3 because, as I say, I can only remember the last half of the 3rd one. But that's entirely my own fault. But I think it kind of shows you how I felt about it in a way. But I don't really
give it a fair chance.
Yeah. I'm absolutely gonna I'm not gonna write this show off just yet. They showed that ship with the double the lightsaber sticking out of it, and I'm like, I thought there was no fan service in this thing because that seems very fan servicey to me. It's like it's like you're trying to fan servicey without fan servicey, but it's whatever.
And the other thing is like I never understood why everybody is English, and I understand why because they're probably filming in England, but like everybody in the Star Wars universe has that English accent.
You say that. The first person to say shit in Star Wars is a Scottish guy.
It's true. Well, that was the first time I've ever heard a Scottish guy, and it was kind of dumbfounding when I heard the guy's voice. I was like, "Well, that's new."
I want to say there's been a Scottish guy in Star Wars before, and I'm blanking on who it is. I might just be misremembering entirely, but no, I'm certain.
He probably was, but there was no lines. He didn't have any lines of dialogue. So.
Maybe. To be fair, I got cousins that are Scottish, and I have no idea what they're saying. Bless them.
Yeah,
it's like you're right. It's like I didn't get one.
It's probably one of the reasons why they don't give him lines of dialogue. They want to understand what's coming out of there. But
yeah, people are like, why'd you never see your family? It's like, 'cause I can't understand them, that's why.
Yeah, gotta know what they're talking about to be around them. Exactly. Come on.
Also, the English and Scottish divide, that's a thing. They don't like us very much, but that's not anyway, so it's going to be a short one for this, a little quickie, because I really haven't got that much to say about it outside of I found it kind of boring, but hopefully next week I might do a complete 180. Who knows? It might be a slow, gradual turnaround for me throughout the series. We just have to wait and see. Fingers crossed that I end up at the end with a complete 180 opinion. But
well, I just hope at the end of the day you enjoy it. That's all. I don't.
I will say to end this off, I didn't hate it. There's some enjoyment in there for me. There were things about these 3 that I enjoyed. It was just, as a whole, slightly boring. But yeah, so tune in next week to find out if I have flipped or if I'm going to be a stubborn old goat and stay on the boring wagon. So yeah, thanks everyone, and bye bye.
Bye bye.